Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Careers at the End of the World. I am your host, Jenn Walker Wall, founder of Work Wonders Careers. And I'm really excited to share that we have another round of How to Job Search at the End of the World, our free webinar for job seekers and career changers, happening very soon. The registration link is in the show notes. At this point, it's probably on our website. So please check those out. Even if you have seen this webinar before, I want to encourage you to RSVP and join us again. If you've been engaged in your job search for the last few months, you probably have more questions. You've probably made more progress. I would love to see you at the next version of this that we have. Please tell your friends who are job seeking and kicking off their job search. I love this webinar. It is by far the most popular free offering I have offered in the last 10 years. Over 1,000 people had registered for either to join us live or the on-demand version that is also available when you sign up for our newsletter within like a few months of me launching it. So I've just been really thrilled with the response. And if you're job seeking right now, you're in the thick of it. We're almost at the end of September, which is wild. We've got election season right around the corner. Come join us for some support, some direction, some reassurance, some validation. I'm really proud of this webinar, and I'd love to hear your questions and see where you're at in the process and be as helpful as possible in our 60-minute container to talk about job searching in absolutely bonkers times. Please do share the webinar with friends and colleagues. I would really appreciate that. As a way to celebrate another round of How to Job Search at the End of the World, I thought I would share some reminders that tap into the themes and the tactics that we discuss in that webinar. Things that I think are really important and very timely, okay? Because obviously it's a long webinar. It's like an hour long. People ask questions. I always get really good questions. I start off at a high level. We talk about resumes and communication. We talk about networking and relationships. We talk about managing your time, taking action. We cover a lot of ground very quickly. But I'm also just thinking about the moment we're all in and the moments we'll be in this fall together. And I just thought there were some things worth elevating in case you can't join us or in case you just need to hear it multiple times, which is actually, I think, true for most people. So the first thing I want to say is it's really important that you acknowledge and give yourself credit for doing hard things in a particularly hard time. Job searching is hard. Changing careers is hard. Trying to make space to explore what's possible for you as like a living, breathing, working adult with adult grown-up responsibilities. It was hard 10 years ago when I started, okay? It's really hard right now. The job market is tough, okay? It's tough in many spaces. In some spaces, it's perfectly fine, more or less, but there are some places that have been impacted so deeply, and you might be looking for work in those areas. There's a lot going on. Okay, I'm just going to say that. I don't even know if this is going to air in the future, so I'm not even sure what's going to be going on when this goes live, but I trust that it will be something and it will be a lot. So please remember the context here. We're doing hard things in hard times. Something else I hope people take away from How to Job Search at the End of the World, or really anything I offer career-wise, is there is no one-size-fits-all job search advice. I mean, there are things I feel really strongly about and have a lot of evidence for and think it makes a lot of sense to do in a systematic way, but it's really up to you to determine if career advice or resume advice is right for you. You have to filter that. I see so many people who are stressed and panicking and trying to take a whole bunch of conflicting career information. And what I see people really struggle with is like filtering through that in a methodical way, which is what you need to do because there's too much conflicting job search advice out there for you to possibly take it all. That's what I'm asking people to do in all of my webinars and workshops is like to tune inward, okay? And understand your priorities, your values, your needs, your pace, your timeline. That's going to help inform what advice we take. I have a lot of tactics. I have a lot of strategies. I have a lot of things that work well, but none of them work if I'm forcing them upon someone. And so a lot of the work that we do with clients is really a collaboration. Is like, here's what I bring to the table. And they're like, here's what I bring to the table. And we're like, great, let's make something from this. Let's come up with a plan based on these strengths and attributes and constraints. You can't apply selectively for jobs and apply for as many jobs as possible. And that's a real common thing that people struggle with, is like, what should my volume be? You cannot never tailor your resume for a job and always tailor your resume for a job. You have to figure out what level of this applies to you, makes sense for you based on you, your experience, your goals, and all of that. So don't look for a silver bullet, unfortunately, but do look for what resonates, what makes sense. You've got questions to ask yourself before you can decide how to best operationalize any kind of advice. It's also really, really important to be flexible and gentle with yourself. For myself, especially going into like election season, knowing I'm going to be busy. Fall is typically a busy season for us at work. I've got travel plans. I've got personal stuff going on. Like I have a very busy fall. Personally, I'm probably going to be exposed to unsettling news that's going to cause me to spiral for some part of the day or the week. All of that is going to happen. And so what I found works really well for me is like a good, better, best type framework. Having good, better, best goals, like this is good enough. I'll be thrilled if I get better, and I'll be just beyond if I do best, I think is a really helpful framework because it creates achievable goals, but leaves room for growth. And if there's one thing I know about working with ambitious people, this is Virgos, Capricorn placements, I'm kind of talking to you. It's that they do not like small goals. They like big goals. But when they fail to meet those big goals, there's a lot of feelings about that. So I actually like small goals. I like big goals too, but I just like to work towards them. You can probably tell I have a Taurus Mars. I'm not in a hurry. I'm going to get where I'm going and I'm going to go at my own pace. So good, better, best framework is really helpful for me because one week I might have a ton of capacity and the next week not so much. And I can still check the boxes, right? Yes, I did this. Yes, I did my part. And that's, I think, really, really important. You have to be flexible with yourself. You have to be generous with yourself and play around and see what works, what works best for you. But I do love a small goal. I love a small goal that's connected to a big goal so that I know that every week I'm just moving forward. There's two things I'm looking at for a lot of job seekers right now, the folks that we're working with, and that is strategy and sustainability. Strategy is all the stuff we've been doing for years, right? It's clarifying your target roles, optimizing your resume and LinkedIn for those, preparing for your interviews, leveraging and building relationships and connections, right? All of that, the tactics and the strategic pieces, a lot of those haven't really changed. There's a few things that have changed a little bit or that we really have been experimenting with. But by and large, there's the strategy component of the job search. The basics still work, okay? But on the other piece around sustainability that I think is much more important for a certain section of job seekers, people in tech, people in journalism, people in media, anyone trying to navigate like a major career transition, is that because of the tight market, it's a doozy out there for some people, a real doozy. And part of your strategy is around sustaining your job search. In 10 plus years of doing this, I've never encountered so many people where I'm like, you're actually doing a lot of the right things. I don't recommend doing anything major or drastic. Like you are applying for jobs. You are actually getting results. You are a finalist multiple times. They used to happen like one person a year where you'd see this person get 2 or 3, final round interviews and not get an offer. In the tech space, it's really the norm for a lot of our clients where it's just taking longer to generate the offer, even though their resume is working. And even though there's obviously something to their candidacy and interviewing skills that's working, it's getting the offer, right? There's a lot of final round interviews and projects that aren't necessarily materializing in an offer. And so what I think about when I see those people doing all the right things is not like, here's what to do totally different or what to do more, but like, how do we take care of ourselves when these are the circumstances, right? And sometimes there are like strategic tweaks and experiments and things that we do here. But really, I think so many of these people are doing so many things right that you got to figure out how to sustain the level of doing things right, not necessarily figure out how to do more or how to start from scratch. I'm also observing that like those folks are really good at generating insights, like noticing like I'm getting traction here and I'm getting less traction here. So they know how to manage their energy. And if you're not attuned to those things, then you might be spending energy that you may or may not want to spend, right? So part of sustainability is making sure that you are honed in on the right kinds of things and not necessarily dabbling unless that feels like a good use of time for you. But for a lot of these folks, they know exactly what they want. They're excellent candidates. It's just a flooded competitive market right now. And what they really need is like fit. They're waiting for fit. You have to take amazing care of yourself. You have to cultivate a strong inner sense of strength here because there's a lot of waves that folks are riding. So this isn't just about strategy. Some people are already employing really great strategy. Some people are doing all the right things, or at least a lot of right things, right? And so I want to be honest and think there's some limitations to strategy. And one of them is really, really, really competitive markets that are just very tight. So knowing that you might need to focus more on sustainability rather than strategy is one of those things that maybe you know, maybe you don't know. Maybe you should start paying attention to how your job search is going and not trying to like burn everything down and start over again, which is a really common impulse and understandably so. But sometimes we're having to cultivate patience we didn't know we had. We didn't know we could. I'm not a very patient person, so I get it. If you want to have some support in assessing your job search, if you want to get a glimpse into our resume strategy that helps people generate interviews, even in competitive spaces, if you want to better think about how to take action, demonstrate compassion for yourself and all of your hard work, and have a strategy that is sustainable, that's flexible, please join us for How to Job Search at the End of the World. This is what we're going to be talking about, is like, how do we ride the waves? How do we take care of our job search? How do we take care of ourselves in this process? It's not easy, but there are lots of ways to make it easier. And I think that everything we can do to make something easier right now is important. It's working in our favor, and we want to embrace that when possible. If you haven't registered, I will send the recording out, so if you can't join us at the scheduled time, you can still sign up. Please do. I would love it if you would share this event. You can tag me on LinkedIn. You can share it on Instagram. You can email it to your friends. I'd love to get some folks there that maybe haven't seen our work before and help people craft a job search strategy that's going to be something they can manage more effectively over the course of the next few months, okay? That's going to be really, really important. If you've taken the webinar and you want to share with me any thoughts, insights, takeaways from this webinar, How to Job Search at the End of the World, send me a DM. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. Hit reply to any of our Careers at the End of the World newsletter. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll share your tips in a future episode. Thank you so much, as always, for listening, and I will see you next week.